Morning glory and evening grace, America. This is the Hugh Hewitt Show, but I am not Hugh Hewitt. I am former Congressman John Campbell, and I will be sitting in for Hugh today. Hugh will be back in this chair tomorrow. For those of you who have listened to Hugh Hewitt or watched him for years, you are familiar with me because I was a guest on Hugh Hewitt's show in his very first week with the Salem Radio Network, those 25 years ago, and have been an occasional guest host and guest over that period of time. But if you are new to the Hugh Hewitt Show, you may not be familiar with me. I am a CPA, was a businessman, went to the California State Legislature for a few years, and then to Congress for 10 years. And now I am living in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I write a blog at lookthroughthechaos.com and post on X at lookthroughchaos, THRU, if you wish to follow me. But you're not here to listen to me just because it's me. You're here because you want to know the news and you want some analysis of that news, like Hugh Hewitt does for you so ably normally 5 days a week, but only 4 days this week because I am filling in. Now, so one thing I want to report that's just breaking, and this is from the Financial Times, the London Financial Times, which Hugh Hewitt reads, and so do I, actually, about Ukraine agrees minerals deal with the U.S. Ukrainian officials say Kiev is now ready to sign the agreement on jointly developing its mineral resources, including oil and gas, after the U.S. dropped demands for a right to $500 billion in potential revenue from exploiting the resources. And it goes on about the details of it. So we'll see more on that. But isn't it funny? Now, all these things, Trump says something and everybody says, no, it's never going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, well, it is happening. Well, I guess maybe we can do this. Maybe there is something we can do. So obviously, for that to matter, there has to be a deal to end that war in Ukraine and with Russia, and we are a ways off from that, but we'll probably be talking about that a little more later in the show today. But another thing I want to read you, and this gets into something I'm going to talk about here for a minute. This is another breaking news today, is that a U.S. district judge in Washington, D.C., by the name of Lauren Ali Khan, and she was appointed by Joe Biden and passed out of Judiciary Committee in the Senate by an 11-10 vote. That would be very narrow. And then passed, they needed Kamala Harris to break the tie to get her this judgeship in the Senate when Biden was president. So if you remember, you had from West Virginia and Arizona, a couple of moderate men. For her to have to break the tie, that means some Dems broke and voted with Republicans against this particular judge. Well, she ruled against the Trump's administration freezing federal grants and loans, and rather than a temporary blocking of this, she has declared it to be basically a permanent blocking. And the reason, she said, is that his blocking of federal grants and loans had to be stopped because it is, quote, irrational and imprudent, unquote. Now, I have to give credit to Generalissimo Dwayne, even though, he's not a producer. This show doesn't have a producer, but he is sitting over there. So therefore, he is here. And he pointed out that clearly she drew this from the irrational and imprudent clause of the U.S. Constitution. I'm sure that she did that. But I bring this up because I've seen this. I was in office. I now live in Arizona, but I was in California State Legislature, and I was in Congress from California, from Orange County, California, here very near the place where the Hugh Hewitt Studio West is right now. And I have watched this sort of thing happen with state judges in California. When you get total lefties in control, their belief is that the actual words of the law don't really matter. The actual words of they matter a little. And the words of the Constitution don't matter that much. What matters is what is right and what is just and what is fair in the view of that judge. Which, by the way, means you no longer have the rule of law. It means it's gone. There is no rule of law. There's rule of person. And that is what authoritarian regimes are. That is what monarchies are. They're rule of person. And so when she comes and says that you can't do this because it's irrational and imprudent, there's nothing in the law, nothing in the Constitution that says you must void things that are irrational and imprudent, because that obviously is a judgment in the eye of the beholder. And so I'm sure what she thinks is irrational improvement and imprudent, I probably think is outstanding. And I'm sure what she thinks is outstanding, I think is irrational and imprudent. That's why you don't do this, because then it becomes the rule of man and not the rule of law. And that's what the left is about. And that's what they're doing. And that's why I mentioned, for any of you that had listened in the last hour, and of course you should always listen to all 3 hours of the Hugh Hewitt Show, that what I see in Donald Trump right now is that he has Trump the disruptor, and that's what he wants to do. I was in business. I'm a CPA, but I was in business, car dealership business. I ran car dealerships for 25 years. I came in as an accountant, but eventually became the general manager, operator, and then eventually minority owner, and then majority owner over a 25-year career in the automobile business. And I never walked into a dealership that was making money when I got there. Because I'm cheap, I either bought dealerships that were brand new points, new existing, or that were losing money. Now, if one had been losing money, which is the typical situation for me, what do? You go in and you disrupt it. And you disrupt it because it's losing money. This is a business. We can't do this for very long. If we lose money for very long, by the way, not all of them were making money when I was done. So I wasn't able to fix them all, but I fixed most of them and made a very good career. But you go and you disrupt it. And you say, you know what? We're going to let this person go. We're going to let this person. We're going to do this. Instead of having 20 people in this department, we'll have 15 people in this department. And we're used to do things this way. We're going to do them this way. And we used to advertise this way, and we're going to advertise this way. And we used to buy inventory like this. We're going to buy inventory like that. And you disrupt it because you have to change it because it's broken. Okay. And I hate to say this, but making America great again means again because it wasn't. Suddenly, it's not great anymore. It's broken. And a lot of it is the fundamentals. Americans are not broken. You watching on Salem television or you listening on Salem radio network are not broken. You are not part of the breaking, but the government is broken. It is, the deep state is real. And I know I've been saying this, we've been saying this forever, and because of the media, and we're going to get to the media later, but the media has been a propaganda arm of the Democratic Party for at least 25 years, and arguably longer than that. Just a total propaganda arm. You'd say deep state, there's no deep state, you're just a conspiracy theorist. I can tell you it was there. I saw it. I knew people who worked in departments under George W. Bush, or later, some of my staff were senior officials in the first Trump administration. And one of my former staffers is in the cabinet right now. And these people, when they were in these departments in the federal government, would tell me how the bureaucrats there would either actively try to do the opposite of what the administration wanted to do, or at the worst, or at the best, they just wouldn't work. They just thought, you say, hey, we want to achieve this, we want to change this, we want to change this regulation, we want to do whatever. So you can't change that by just being around the edges. You have to disrupt it. And so whether it's the budget, whether it's what DOJ is doing through that, whether it's what's happening in the Department of Defense. We went away from having, I remember Rush Limbaugh, who began what you're watching right now, talk radio, basically started conservative talk radio low those many years ago, back in 1988 when he first went on the air. And Rush Limbaugh used to say the purpose of the military is to kill people and break things. Now, on the left, they don't like to say, ooh, that's bad. That doesn't sound nice. That doesn't, whatever. But you know what? That is what it's for. And what I want in the military are people who are really good at killing people and breaking things. You want warriors. By the way, I'm not a warrior. I was not in the military, never was. And you know why? I would be terrible at it, absolutely terrible at it. But some of the people who are really good in the military probably wouldn't be very good at what I'm doing. God made us all differently. And God gave every one of us skills and talents, things you're good at, and some things you're not so good at. And God didn't give any one person good at everything. That's just the way God made us. And those who are warriors, boy, I have a lot of respect for those folks because I'm not like them. But I can't sit here and talk to you. And the freedoms I have are because of those people. It's because of them. And I understand that. And that's what we need in the military, are more warriors. And that's what I see this administration is going to do. Foreign policy. He's disrupting foreign policy. Not just who are our friends, but what are our interests? What are the national interests of the United States? Can we really afford to police the entire world going forward? Do we really want to? There's a whole lot of reasons I thought things at one time. Then now as time goes on, you see, maybe the world's changed. Maybe that's not the way it should be. More coming up here with former Congressman John Campbell.